The lasso tools allow you to make free-form selections of your images. These can be found at the top of your toolbox, usually underneath whatever marquee tool that you have. If I was to click and hold, you can see I've got three different types of lasso tools: the regular, the polygon, and the magnetic lasso. Each one does the same thing, but in a different way. The regular lasso tool works like a pen tool. If I was to click and drag, it starts off by drawing a line around wherever my cursor is moving, and when I let go of my cursor, I then have my marching ants, and you can see it's a free-form amorphous type selection. This is great for choosing those hard to get to areas, or those areas that aren't either rectangular or circular. But it does take a little bit of practice trying to easily select certain objects that are a specific shape or a specific size. If I do click on the inside of it, I can move it around, and if I click on the outside of it just once, it'll deselect it, just like with our regular marquee tools. If I have a geometric shape, the Polygon Lasso tool comes in handy because with it I can click once, and you can see I've got a line that's following wherever my cursor is, and wherever I click, it will add on to my selection, making straight line selections between each click. If I was to go back to my original starting point, you can see there's a little circle next to my cursor. That means it's going to close off that selection, and now I've got my selection created. If I was to click outside, it would start another selection. Here's another tip. If I double click wherever I'm at, it will automatically close off that selection from that point back to the beginning. The final lasso selection tool is the magnetic lasso. Let's deselect this. The magnetic lasso is a great little tool to use to quickly select areas that have good contrast. So let's say I wanted to select this building. I can see the difference between the sky and the building itself. So I'm going to click just once, and I'm not holding down my mouse key, but I'm going to move my cursor along this edge, and you can see it's starting to add little points to it. Now it's not doing a great job, but it is finding the edges between one point and the other point, and it's slowly building on to that selection. You can see where it's getting off just by a little bit based on the contrast that it has. If I was to click, it'll automatically add a point, so if I know I want there to be a point to be there, I can do that. And I can bring it back to the starting point, or I can double click and it will make the selection as well. So very quickly I was able to select this particular area. It will need a little bit of cleanup to get the exact area to work with. To refine this edge, to maybe give me a better selection, I can play around with the width and the contrast and frequency options within my tool options box, and these are only available in the magnetic marquee tool. Let's deselect it. To change my width, if I was to make it a lot larger, let's say I made it 30 pixels. This will look between 30 pixels of difference between this one. Now when I click and drag, it still does the same thing. Let's deselect that. Maybe I need more contrast between the two. Only 10%, so let's give it 20%. And I start to click and drag. Now it's still selecting this area, but I can move pretty quickly to select the area that I want. Playing around with the selection tools will be different for every picture that you work with.